Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. I am standing out here in the rain because I love you guys so much. No, actually it's because I have to do my normal afternoon Easter egg hunt. Because even in the rain, you find eggs everywhere. Duck egg dropped in the mud. And I thought while I was out here, a couple questions have come up in the last videos about the breeds that I have, the eggs that they lay, etc. Right? So I thought I'd share a little bit about why I picked the breeds that I picked and how they benefit us and our farm, right? So we'll talk chickens first. Chickens are easy. The chickens were for me. I never had a plan to breed, hatch, sell chickens. They were really just for me. But I wanted a breed that I would enjoy. And Bantam Cochins were it, right? So Cochins were on the Livestock Conservancy list. Of course, that was critical for me. Bantam just means that they're small. They're not full-size version. Small means they lay small eggs. So it takes about 2 Bantam Cochin eggs to equal 1 grocery store egg, which is not a problem for me. We don't really eat eggs here. Cochins are fabulous birds for New Jersey. They have feathered feet, so they handle the winter really well. And in general, they're just hardy birds. They lay a ton of eggs. So on average, they'll lay in and around 250 to 300 eggs a year per hen. That's essentially a little bit less than 1 a day. They turn off in the winter, meaning they don't lay from about November to end of February-ish. And they're just cute and fun and personable. But one of the other keys is that they're not overly aggressive breeders, meaning that I can have more roosters than I need, and I don't have to worry about those roosters beating up on my hens and overbreeding them to the point that the hens are injured. So that's truly important to me because I don't want to have to be culling roosters all the time. And you always end up with too many roosters, no matter how much you want. So why did I never want to sell chickens or manage chickens? And the answer is really simple, right? Chickens are prolific. A lot of people have them. A lot of stores carry them. Tractor Supply has chick days. You see them at all the 4-H fairs. They're just available pretty regularly. And I don't want to be in that market where, I'm fire sailing birds, or I have too many birds and nowhere for them to go. So I do hatch on demand. And if you're interested in this particular breed, I can absolutely hook you up. We've got another Easter egg here. Another duck egg in the mud. So I can absolutely hook you up with chickens. I just hatch them for you when you order them, and then they arrive, they hatch 3 weeks after you order them. And I do that so that I don't get overrun with chickens. You get what you want, and I don't have to sweat trying to sell chickens at a price that just doesn't make sense, because market prices are silly. I mean, my chicks are $5 a piece right now, and that's not, when I talked in the last video about time management, right? That's a balance between time and effort and benefit. So the chickens are for my entertainment value. Ducks were next. Ducks, I talked about how I picked the breed, right? Magpie. But I didn't talk about a couple of things. So the same principles apply with magpies. Magpies are a dual purpose bird. They can be used for eggs or for meat. We do not use them for meat here, just because there really, again, isn't a market. I wouldn't have a problem with it. And if there were a market where we could have a processing situation, I would happily do that for folks. Right now, though, it's just, again, a cost versus benefit. There's no market. There's a cost to processing birds, both in time and expense. And when there's no market, you don't want to do that. but magpies are prolific egg layers. They lay about 280 eggs a year on average per hen, and they're also not aggressive breeders. With most breeds of ducks, you can only have one drake for about 10 hens, and that presents a problem when you're hatching because you always end up with more drakes than hens, or an equal, amount of drakes and hens, and certainly that becomes a problem for outlet, right? What do you do with all those drakes? If you're not processing, then you're culling, and if you're culling, that bird is kind of going to waste, and that's not what we want in our plans. So magpie are unusual in the sense that you can have many more drakes than normal. So I run about a 50-50 flock. The drakes do not overbreed the females. There's always an exception to the rule. So of course somebody, is going to chime in the comments, and please do, right? Where your experience was different. But in general, magpie ducks are not aggressive breeders. The males do not overbreed the females, and you can run a 50-50 flock. I've been doing it for over a decade now. So that's very similar reasons why I picked the magpie duck and why I have the bantam chickens, bantam cochins. So then we get to the Royal Palm turkey. The turkey were really chosen for two reasons. One, because of their status on the Livestock Conservancy list, and two, because of their size and personality. So they're not the biggest birds. They're not, broad-breasted birds that are raised for meat. Certainly you could process them for meat, but you won't get the same value out of them. They're going to top out at, 10 pounds maybe for a tom, where everybody wants their butterballs and their Purdues, right, that are 20, 40, 50-pound birds. That's not what these are going to do, and that's part of the reason that they're on the Conservancy list, is because they're not useful in that sense. But they're beautiful. They're very tame. They really are fabulous yard ornaments. They make great deterrents for aerial predators, right? So from a protection perspective, they protect the chickens in two modes. One is they alarm call, and the chickens know what that alarm means, and they head inside. And two is just their size and their stature is enough to deter a lot of predators alone, right? They don't want to come in and mess with turkey that size, and the predators don't know that they could walk right by the turkey and get the chicken. They just see a big bird and think, okay, that's out of my league. So that's why we grab the turkey. Turkey have a very short laying season. They start laying around the beginning of April. Yeah, around the beginning of April. And they finish up right at the end of June. So we are wrapping up our turkey laying season right now. So we don't have turkey eggs all year round, of course, and most of my eggs and poults are sold within the first 48 hours of me opening orders for the season. So it's a perfect amount of birds that I have to support my demand without being overwhelmed. If you notice, I have more toms than hens, so I have 3 hens and 4 toms. The toms do not overbreed the hens. The hens would never tolerate that. But having the extra toms around keeps my hens from flying off and heading into the wilderness with the wild turkey that from time to time come in, and we have a video about that too, right? So if you haven't seen that one, check that one out. There's a wild turkey trying to lure my hens off. Thankfully, he wasn't successful. I'll try and remember to link it below. And then last but not least, we have the Sebastopol geese. The geese I absolutely adore from a personality perspective. They are not aggressive birds. The ganders do not get mean. They don't bite. During breeding season, the ganders will hiss and posture, but it's all show and no actual action. So I love that. They're totally handleable. They're not the biggest geese in the market. They're also not the smallest. But again, from my perspective, one, they're on the extremely threatened list. They are extraordinarily threatened on the Livestock Conservancy list. So that was a big you know, that's why I was a big proponent of getting them. But two is they're just beautiful. They don't look so much now when they're sopping wet in the rain, but they are absolutely beautiful. They look like little ground clouds. They're fluffy. The way their feathers are, and this is how they're designed. So this is not something that nature didn't create. This is nature, but they don't fly because their feathers are not designed to support flight. Right now, they don't have all of their floofy feathers because mating season has just ended, breeding season has just ended. They don't lay a whole lot of eggs. They might lay maybe 25, 30 eggs a season per goose. And most of those are not fertile, so it's kind of a bummer to try and breed them, but we try every year, and this year we got a gosling, so happy day. But again, I picked them for their personality, for their looks, for their ability to manage New Jersey weather, and their status on Livestock Conservancy. These geese are purely ornamental. They really don't have a purpose in the food cycle right now, nor do they have a purpose really on the egg cycle. Every other bird has a purpose, at least in the egg cycle. But right now the sebbies are really just about breeding and trying to continue to build the population up. So that's a little bit of the history around why I have the birds that I have, why we love them, what their uses are. Got some ducks out there grazing in the rain. The rain keeps getting harder and softer. If only you could see me, I look as wet and drowned radish at all the birds. I do this for you people, so like, subscribe, I share my channel. We need to get those subscribers up. We need to get the word out. I'm standing out here in the rain getting soaking wet just for you. No, I'm kidding. Of course, I appreciate everything. I do appreciate the likes, the comments, and certainly the subscriptions. So feel free to share if you choose to. Otherwise, we'll catch you at the next video. Thanks for taking time with me. Bye for now.